What's up, YouTube? My friends. It's the first time for me to give you a good top 10 list. But first, I'm smoking some Quiet Nights by GLPs in my Dagner Dog P4. Mm, it's a mighty fine tobacco. It needs to dry. That tobacco is very moist. But I'm gonna set my pipe aside while I'm talking. All right. So the FDA, we all know they came out with the ruling. They're gonna start regulating pipe tobacco, cigars, e-cigarettes, hookah, tobacco, and the whole lot. So that's got a lot of people purchasing a bunch of tobaccos. They're hoarding tobaccos. And I thought to myself that I was like, that's a good idea, but there's got to be more than one reason why you should hoard tobacco and cigars right now. And it just turns out it happens to be that there's 10 good reasons that I'm going to give you right now. So, if you're looking, if you're if you're on the fence about buying tobacco or cigars, I'm your enabler. I'm going to give you those reasons, and I think they all make sense. So, without further ado, top 10 reasons to hoard or cellar or buy up a whole bunch of cigars and or pipe tobacco. Number 10, vanity and variety. So this will be probably the most shallow of the reasons. But I'm sure have you ever walked into a big old brick and mortar store and you gone into the humidor and you saw box after box of cigars and you looked on the shelves and you saw rows and rows of tobacco tins and the big old glass jars with all the bulk blends in them. And did that make you salivate? You're like, oh, that's so much. Well, if you build up your cellar, you can kind of have that experience in your own home. You can have like a nice big old stack of tobacco tins and mason jars that are stuffed full of tobacco, or have a bunch of humidors that are overloaded with cigars. It's pretty good feeling, and it's nice to have that variety of smoking apparatuses and blends. Okay, so number 9, tobacco retains its value. You buy a tin of tobacco today for $10. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to sell that tin in a year for $10 or 2 years for $10. In some instances, the price will increase. But it's even if you get a bulk blend and you put it in jars, that stuff should theoretically retain its value. So it's not maybe not be an investment of sorts, but you can be you can be certain that if you buy tobacco, it's not going to lose any value. Just in case you have to sell it, if you find yourself in a financial bind and you need to unload some stuff, you should be able to get your money back for the tobaccos that you buy. So, number 8, top 10 reasons to hoard tobaccos. Some blends get sold out quickly. Now, we all know of the Penzance and the Stonehaven and the Pelican and the Germain's Best Brown Flake, or the Germain's Brown Flake and the Special Latakia Flake. These blends get bought pretty quickly. So if you can find it, I think it's fine to buy what you can find. To buy what you can find. Maybe not. If you walk into a store and you see a stack of 5 bags of Stonehaven, maybe not buy all 5, but buy 1 or 2. Even if you have enough for your own personal storage, you don't know that if you're ever going to be able to find that again. That stuff does get sold out rather quickly. So you may not have the opportunity to buy it in the future. So I think it's a fantastic idea to pick up what you can when you can. So, number 7 is, it's hard to explain this one. A lot of blends and brands themselves get eliminated arbitrarily, and they get sold from owner to owner. Like, I guess, Three Nuns. This was a huge blend, very popular back in the early 20th century, and the original company folded up, and so the rights to that blend have been passed on from company to company to company. I believe McBaron has it now, and the recipe's changed. It's different. It's not the same. A lot of the Dunhill brands and blends, the Dunhill blends are, it's the same thing. The whoever the the blender of that brand keeps passing from company to company, and those who've had experience smoking the blend, which is made from a different blender, most of them swear there's differences from company to company. So if you like a certain brand or a certain blend, you might want to stock up now just in case that brand gets sold and another company is making it. Like I believe Peterson, I believe the company that was blending Peterson's blends ain't doing it anymore. It's a different company now. And so who knows if the current iteration of Peterson's tobaccos are the same as they were, 5 years ago. I don't know. So if you like what you're smoking now, you better get some. All right, number 6, recipe changes due to the natural variation of tobacco crops from year to year, and recipe changes due to extinct or endangered tobacco types. So what does this mean? Because that's a big, long reason. Tobacco is a plant, it's a crop, and there's going to be natural variation from year to year. This, the 2015 crop of of North Carolina red Virginias is probably going to taste just a little bit different, whether with sugar content or moisture or whatever. It's going to taste different from year to year. And for someone like me, that may not be a big deal because my palate's not very experienced. I'm not going to be able to say, well, this is clearly a 2009 Burley, but I'm not going to be able to tell the difference. But if your palate is, very precise, then you might be able to tell the difference between those variations. And the other thing is these tobaccos that are endangered or even gone, like Perique. Perique was single-handedly saved, in the St. James Parish by Mark Ryan of Daughters and Ryan Tobacco Company. He produces 95% of the Perique that's made. So he basically single-handedly saved that industry. If it hadn't been for him, there may not be any more St. James Perique. And things like Syrian Latakia, that is no longer being made. The only Syrian Latakia that is left is what is the crops that the tobacco manufacturers have in store right now. And once it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to be able to get it anymore. They're going to have to substitute with a different kind of Latakia. So if your favorite tobacco blend has Syrian Latakia in it, you better stock up now. Three Oaks Syrian, because once they run out of that Syrian Latakia, there's no more. You're not going to be able to get that blend, at least in the same recipe. So there you go. All right, number 5 of the top 10 reasons to hoard your tobacco is trade bait. So, a lot of people, what's the conventional wisdom of buying pipe tobacco? You buy, 2 or 3, if you're going to buy a blend, buy 2 or 3 tins of it, one to try now and one to cellar for later. What if you don't like it? Well, as I've mentioned before, the tobacco retains its value and is wonderful for trades. So if you buy a blend and you got several tins of it and you don't like it, or you lose your taste for it, you can trade it. And you'll be able to get something that you like from someone like me and others who have some tins in the cellar. So I think that's a very good reason to stock up right now on pipe tobacco and cigars. I mean, this all applies to cigars too. All right, so number 4, top 10 reasons to hoard tobacco is the existence of the limited editions, the small batches, and the annual blends. Let's see, cigar manufacturers, they do tons of limited editions. And, if you've ever bought a limited edition cigar and you loved it, and maybe you were wanting to go back to get a box and you found it was gone, they may not ever make that type again. Same with the small batches. I know that Cornell and Deal, they're doing their small batch thing. If you buy a tin of it and you like it, what happens when you want more? That's gone. So you probably should have stocked up on it. And annual blends, McClelland's Christmas Cheer, that's the one that comes to mind. I believe there's supposed to be a variation from each blend from year to year. So if you love the McClelland's Christmas Cheer from 2012 and you only bought one tin of it, maybe you should have bought more. Okay, number 3 of the top 10 reasons to hoard tobacco. This is a good reason. Tobacco is only going to get more expensive. I mean, that's inflation. That's our economy. That's the way things work. Things get more expensive. And that's a natural thing. So it may be perfectly understandable that tobacco costs increase 5% or 10% this year. But will your income also increase by 5% or 10% this year? I know mine ain't. So this is an argument that like for me, it's not a huge argument with my wife or anything like that, but I know a lot of people who smoke tobacco or smoke cigars, and maybe the typical scenario is the wife don't like it. She doesn't like the hobby. She doesn't appreciate the money that's being spent. She doesn't like tobacco in general. And so when next year and the year after, when the price goes up and up, that might be a good argument that she could use to prevent him from buying tobacco and engaging in his hobby. So buy now while it's cheaper. I mean, it's only going to get more expensive. Costs of shipping and cost of processing and costs of regulation. We'll get more on that later. But it's only going to get more expensive. And plus, there's other, the sites are still, there are specials and promotions that are being, coupons and coupon codes and things like that. So, you should take advantage now when it is cheap. And I'm not saying tobacco's cheap right now, but it's not going to get any cheaper than it is now. All right. The number 2 reason to hoard pipes and cigars is tobacco is only going to improve and mature with age. It's going to get better. And this has been proven. There's no scientific evidence, but most people who have had tobacco that is aged will agree that tobacco does get a lot better when it ages, especially Virginia's. They've got that sugar content that really matures and really brings out some extra flavors. A lot of Kia, and, it kind of mellows out and gets more complex, and burleys and aromatics, maybe they just kind of stay the same. But for the most part, good quality tobaccos improve with age. So buy now. Buy a bunch now so that you got a bunch of good stuff to smoke in 10 years. Okay, so what is the number 1 reason to hoard tobacco? And that, of course, is the impending tobacco apocalypse. We know it's coming. The FDA is extending their regulations from cigarettes and snuff and things like that into pipes, tobaccos, cigars, and other tobacco products. These regulations are not going to be enforceable until 2018, August 5th, 2018. So everything that is available now cannot be touched or messed with until 2018. Tobaccos that were available in the United States market before February 15th, 2007 will still be available after the regulations go into effect. They can't touch it. But tobacco blends and cigars that were introduced to the U.S. market on February 15th, 2007, up to now, will have to be met with approval from the FDA if they wish to be sold after August 5th, 2018. So that is a great, awesome reason why you should hoard tobacco now. If you have a blend that you like that was introduced after February 15th, 2007, you might want to start buying some. And I'm not trying to induce fear. I'm not trying to create a panic, but because I know that there's petitions in place. Go sign the petitions. There's going to be legal challenges, and I know there's a lot of obstacles in place for the FDA to overcome to really fully enforce the regulations that they're wanting to enforce. And I'm hoping that more obstacles are thrown their way. That's where we come in. That's where you need to contact your legislators, sign petitions, and all that stuff. But if in the worst case scenario, if the worst case happens and tobacco manufacturers and cigar manufacturers are unable to continue creating blends or unable to stay in business due to the regulations, you're going to want to have these tobaccos on hand. So you got a little over 2 years to do it. So go do it. Ready, break. Get to buying. Send a few tins my way. No, just kidding. That's it. So I hope that was educational or informative or persuasive. Go buy. All right. 17 minutes in. That's a lot of me talking. I am going to get to this pipe. Thanks for watching.